It's not so easy to win races. It's already hard to be at the highest level, and then to compete for the victory is even harder. I could not understand it that I won, so I really didn't want to celebrate too early, because if then a rider has a fantastic day like I had, then you feel double disappointed. Prefer to win myself Paris-Roubaix. Take the Cobble on top of it. If it's misty or rainy or cold weather, and you were perfect. Yeah, there was a lot of pressure for myself, but we were there with Remco also. He was the big favorite, of course. And I only had to beat him one time in my life, and I did it. And also, it takes a lot of work to harvest. It's not that you plant today that you harvest tomorrow. The same in cycling.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Castelli podcast, the show where we dive into the world of Castelli and explore the stories behind the riders who inspire us. Not every pro cyclist seems to have a full and complete life outside of riding bikes, which is understandable. It's a job that requires immense dedication most of the year, away from home, the family and friends. So when you come across a cyclist with a clearly defined on-the-record interest in something else, it tends to stand out a bit. Yves Lampaert is one such rider. Yves turned 34 on April 10th, just 3 days before his favorite race, the Queen of the Classics, a race the Belgian rider has long dreamed of winning. After 10 starts at the Roubaix, he landed in the top 10 3 times, including a podium finish. Today we're diving into that very race. We'll talk about what makes it so brutally beautiful, the feeling of rattling over cobbles with your heart pounding at 180 beats per minute, and the stark contrast of racing Roubaix in wet versus dry conditions. We'll also reflect on other standout moments from Yves' career, including the unforgettable win in the opening time trial of the 2022 Tour de France, which earned him 2 days in the iconic yellow jersey.
Yves Lampaert, the fastest on the day and winning the stage as the Tour de France got underway.
And his Belgian national championship titles and more. We will also explore how the sport has evolved over the past 2 decades, from foul weather aero gear to bike tech, data-driven strategies and the changing mindset of the modern rider. These days, it's all about the numbers, watts, heart rate zones, aerodynamics measured to the millimeter. We'll chat about the shift from racing by instinct, those gut decisions in the break, the social side of training shoulder to shoulder with your mates, to today's world where numbers often call the shots. And don't you worry, this episode is not all about watts and wheels. Wait till you hear how many tractors are parked in the Lampaert family farm. When Yves drove his first tractor, plus we'll find out what veggies they are growing, because yes, even the toughest guys in the peloton have a soft spot for a good harvest. We will also touch on the surprising parallels between farming and cycling. So join us as we go beyond racing to discover the man behind the team jersey and what truly drives him beyond the finish line. So kick back, relax and put your feet up for an inspiring conversation with Yves Lampaert. Welcome Yves on the Castelli podcast.
No, thank you. Nice intro.
But before we start, I have 5 questions for you. You need to give a short answer, and usually the first answer that comes to your mind is the right one. So here we go. What do you prefer, beach or gravel racing?
Beach.
Knokke Beach or Miami Beach for beach racing?
I didn't do Miami Beach, so I will take Knokke.
What is your absolute favorite Castelli product?
The espresso gloves.
We'll get into that a little later. Do you prefer a deer or a scorpion? Because I know that within your family you have a lot of tractors, John Deeres.
Maybe the logo of the scorpion I like also.
Nice, good one. What's your all-time dream race to win one day?
If I can choose, I would pick Paris-Roubaix.
Perfect. That was an easy one.
To start, yes.
So, is it strange or difficult to being a Belgian and have focused on the Cobble classics and they've been part of your favorite races to race since I think maybe the early years of racing. Is there a different pressure on you as a Belgian rider, especially when you wore the national Belgian jersey, to perform well in those classic races?
Yes, of course. Almost all the finish lines are in a diameter of 15 kilometers of my house. So, like Kuurne-Brussel-Kuurne is at 3-4 kilometers of my house. The finish line, Harelbeke, where I live, the city calls Hulst, but it's part of Harelbeke. So I'm living there. It's are my training routes almost every day. So for me, there is a lot of pressure because there are also a lot of supporters for me, and I'm lucky that I'm also have the body to do well in those classics. So it's always special, and it always gives goosebumps at the start.
I can imagine, yeah. What about then also with the Belgian media? Because we always hear abroad that the Belgian media can sometimes be really hard on the riders or on athletes in general, celebrities in Belgium. Are you really good at when you come back to your family farm or to your wife just to cut off everything that is going on social media and in the news?
Yeah, of course. But for me, the Belgian media is also quite gentle, I have to say. I'm lucky that I'm not the superstar like Remco is or Van Aert, where the pressure is even higher. That's true. On social media, people can be really hard on a sporter. It's not always easy, but yeah, you have to. It's easy to say don't read it, but sometimes you do, and then it's more than hey. It's not so easy to win races. It's already hard to be at the highest level, and then to compete for the victory is even harder. And if it's 1 year it doesn't work out like you want, they are quite fast to have some critic. But it's part of the game, I think. But it's not always that easy. And then it's nice to go back to your family and to also have the same supporters that I already have for years, that even in times that it's not go so well, that they keep supporting me for who I am and not for the results.
Yeah, you're a big name in Belgium, and your supporters club, where are they from? Are they close to where you live, or? Yeah,
they have the supporters cafe in Ingemünster, called the Bokor. The sports club calls the Forza Lampaert, and they already have like around 500 members in our club, and they do some activities like going to the Belgian Championship from in the morning with the buses. Then they go with 4, 5, 6 buses to the championship. They organize there, or they search already in the start of the season. They search for a field there, and they opening that day the Lampaert land, they call it, and it's all day on the. They pay like 30 or 40 euros, I don't know anymore, and they can eat and drink all day what they want. They have big screens there.
Sounds like an amazing day.
Yeah, that's one of the activities. Then they also do the quiz, and this year there were 400 quizzes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really big, and they do a lot of nice activities, and people like to come back.
It's beautiful. I mean, I only spent a year and a half in Belgium many years ago when I was racing Kermesse races, but it's always like that every pro cyclist, I mean, especially Belgian cyclists, they have their own fan club in Belgium. It's always, like you said, linked to a bar or to a place, and those people always come out and support you guys at the bigger events and races. So at the Belgian Nationals, I can imagine with multiple fan clubs along the course, it's just creating this big vibe and great atmosphere. Doing a race day, also for the people alongside the course cheering for you. Yeah,
it's our special days for the supporters, and they mostly a lot of guys already follow you from really young time, like junior or something, and they grow with you, and then they are really proud to be a member of your supporters club, and they show it also. And like in compare with football, there's no enemy feelings towards other riders.
Yeah.
They support you, And only you and they are happy for the other one if they can win, but they are not angry. And that's really nice in cycling because I have sometimes difficulties if people get angry on each other for just a sport game.
It is, yeah.
It's not the meaning of sport the meaning of sport is to have joy when your team wins, but not be angry when on the other ones.
No, exactly.
When it tries to win.
And also what I've seen a few times when I've been, especially in December, January in Belgium and Flanders to watch some cyclocross races. It's also so nice, apart from you having the kids starting in the morning and then all the way up to the women's at 1 o'clock, the men's at 3 in the afternoon. Yeah. So you all go out on the course, you all cheer, you have maybe a beer or two, you have waffles, frites. And then afterwards, all the different fans of different riders go into the same little pub or bar, next to the circuit and, just celebrate and having a last pint there together before going home after a fantastic day, celebrating all together. This is beautiful. I love that about Flanders. Yeah. And I keep telling my wife also that every year we have to go at least one weekend to Flanders and watch a bike race. And then we can do a little bit of sightseeing in Bruges and in Ghent, afterwards. But that day, that atmosphere is something that's just so special.
Yeah, it is like that. Like you say, it's like a holiday, more like how you say it, like if it would be Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
It's national holiday.
It is. So when you're home in winter time and it's cold outside and you need to go out there and still get your riding in, maybe 3, 4, 5 hours of riding, and it's windy, it could be raining also. How do you usually dress up?
If it's really bad weather, it's the alpha jacket. I said in the beginning the espresso gloves, but now when I think about the alpha jacket, it's a really good jacket. I already had a lot of joy of that jacket, and I now think about it. That's maybe my favorite piece of Castelli, because you only need a small base layer underneath it, and you can go for easy 4 or 5 hours being warm outside.
Yeah, and we keep hearing that from all the riders. When I ask them, just tell me about one specific product, they're the Alpha jacket. It can get me through everything in winter time, either from 8-9 degrees plus to freezing temperatures. And if it starts raining, most of the time it will still keep the water out, but you can also put like a rain cape on top, and you're fine.
It's also a product no other brand has. That's the biggest difference, I think.
Yeah. So there's a lot of products here. And I know also that talking about foul weather equipment, that you, together with Kasper Askren, you are two of our prototype testers of the GABA jacket, the GABA R, which stands for racing.
But it's also a good product. You can go out with the thin long sleeve jacket, take the GABA Air on top of it. If it's a bit misty or rainy or cold weather, and you are perfect for the next hours you had to race and you had to train. And I like it also really a lot, the GABA Air.
Yeah, no, it protects you from everything. And the good thing is, but it's more for racing. And then maybe you go down one size. If you have the long sleeve version, as you mentioned now, you put on top of a jacket, that actually also is faster than the road suit. At least when you're sitting up in a normal, cycling position, not when you're tucked down in the aero position, which is crazy. Yeah. But also good to know, also mentally.
Tim de Klerk last year, he's crazy about aero and science, and he was always complaining, you guys with the new GABA is so fast, it's so stretchy and it fits around everybody, and we don't have it, and it's not fair. And so I have to agree, man. It's nice to race with a jacket like that.
Yeah, and it's compared to the old version, it's more like similar to the Edro jacket, the Edro Pro that you guys had. For rain cape, it's similar, but even smaller because it packs in smaller, and you can put it in your, stuff away in your rear pockets, which is something you couldn't do with the old GABA. So I think also for that rider needs to go back to the car with all the jackets later. It's just easier. Maybe there's no need for it because the riders, they would just stuff it in the back pocket for a bit. Let's talk a little bit about your career. So you've been with the QuickStep team since 2015, making you one of the longest serving riders on the roster. How has your role within the team evolved over the years?
Well, I started quite low on the ladder. Quite fast. They already had a lot of confidence in me. I still remember I did my first year here. I started Australia, then I went to Algarve and I did a lot of work for the team on the head to serve the sprinters or something. But quite fast I won the 3 days of West Flanders, where I won the stage and the general. And I was. They also did not know where my limits were. Because I came from Tosper Flanders, it's more like you can see it now as a bit as Devil team. Then back in the days it was full of young Flemish riders, and you show some potential, but then wattage meters and science was not so high tech like it was now. I did not know what to expect my first year, but from the start I was in the base team for the classics, and I had a lot of chances to prove myself in the classics, and I did straight away quite well. Even I got 7th in Paris-Roubaix that first year. Wow. After working a whole day for the team. That year Stevie was 2nd, I was 7th. So from then on, the confidence only grew, and they knew I was a classic rider, but I was also strong to do lead-outs, and also year after year my capabilities increased more, and it makes us today that I am a classic rider / time trial specialist.
Yeah, because actually, now that you mention it, as someone who thrives in the classics and time trials, how do you balance being a leader in some races and a domestique in others?
That's because I'm always quite honest with myself. If we have a better chance in the team with another rider, 300% agree with the team. I'm never gonna say, I want my chance today if I'm not sure I can win or I can do podium or something. So I'm straight away. I'm always for me the most important is that we perform well as a team. I'm not the person who wants individual results before team results. No, I know during the years, if the team performs well, your own results will follow. But if the team is not performing well, nobody will have good results, and that's why I'm always committing to the team first.
And also having patience and winning as a group, it's a key thing, and it's sometimes difficult in the world of cycling. That is a team sport, but in the end, it's also an individual sport because only one guy can win, and we definitely have a lot more downs than ups in our career.
Absolutely, yeah.
Most of the time it's about just getting back up there, dust off your shoulders and getting back in the saddle, and think about there's always a new day tomorrow. Yeah,
indeed, and it's a bit live, eh?
Yeah, it is.
I compared it once Paris-Roubaix with live. It's sometimes you have a nice tarmac where it goes all smooth, but some parts are cobblestones where it's hard. But in the end, you finish on the track and you have to be happy with what you performed there.
Yeah. What went through your mind when you say that? Was that in 22 when you had that crash? You were racing for podium at the Roubaix and you hit that spectator at so close to the finish line.
Yeah, the first moment I was really a bit, not dizzy, but I did not know what actually happened. It went all so fast. In the end, I was a bit angry on the spectator, but after a while, I could also place it. Nobody does it on purpose to let somebody crash. But of course, I lost a potential podium in Roubaix, and it doesn't come back so easy.
No, it doesn't. But again, as you said, this was something a crash that happened due to a spectator that was a little bit too close to the course, and sometimes we see it also on those mountain climbs in the French Alps, or that the spectators want to do the selfies and photos. Maybe they get a little bit too close to you guys sometimes. But winning or getting a good result at Roubaix, we all know that's all about being lucky, being in shape, maybe the best shape of your life, but also a lot of luck. Punctures, defects, crashes, everything can happen in that race. So.
Yeah, but because also that year I still remember I got sick in Paris-Nice. So from Paris-Nice till Roubaix is not so long anymore. And I had 4 days the flu, and I compare it a bit like every day you do fever, you need 1 week to recover. So I had 4 days fever, and I knew it's going to be hard to come back. And I restarted, and luckily that year the Roubaix was 1 week later than normal because of the elections with the French elections, and I was just in time ready, and the whole race was in my advance. I was in the first big echelon where Van der Poel and Van Aert, they got surprised and they were not there, and I was always. It did not crash, it did not puncture, and I thought, this goes really smooth. I had to. In the end, I was a block. I was fucked in the end. That's also maybe because the crash happened, because I didn't have the reaction time anymore to see the spectator. But that's part of the game, of course.
That's part of the game, yeah. And you always race on the limits, and you try to cut your corners, because that is also in the long end, it's also saving your time. So
and Tom Bonus said it once nice about Paris-Roubaix. Roubaix is not about how hard you can go over the cobblestones, it's how good you can ride next to the cobblestones to save energy, because it's such a long, hard race. You have to save energy wherever you can, and if you don't do it, the guy after you does this. So,
do you prefer racing the Roubaix in the wet or in the dry?
I did once the wet, Paris-Roubaix.
Was that 21?
21. I was that actually was maybe my best day in Roubaix ever. But I had 3 punctures. But it still got 5th in the end.
Fantastic result.
Yes, it was really special and really nice to do it once, but I have to be honest, it was such a crazy addition. I think I prefer the dry conditions.
The dry conditions.
It's special to do it in the wet. It goes all a bit slower, but there were so many crashes and. But I am happy I did one in the wet, and I still have my suit. My clothes that I had that day on. I didn't wash them, and they are now they're hanging in a bike shop in my city. A friend, his bike shop, they are there. It's a memory for life. That's nice. For sure.
That's cool. That's cool. Do you have a favorite cobble sector?
My favorite, I think Carrefour de l'Arbre is the most special one, because also if I finish this one, the hardest part is over. Then the cobblestones who follow are not so hard anymore. Of course, never underestimate the sector where I crashed. Ham is also not an easy one, but there you can cut the corners a bit, and you have on the sides a bit. But all before, they are so...
Also because the second last cobbled sector, Willems, you crashed on. Do you have that on both sides? There's usually a cycling path, but then they put up these plastic cones, to avoid you guys going in there. So of course the spectators, they come out, closer to the fans, come out closer to the course, which also makes it more difficult, because that means that you're riding really on the edge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we are Of course, as pro cyclists, we are used a lot. We can handle our bike quite well, but that day I took a bit too much risk.
Have you ever been to the Roubaix Velodrome outside of the Paris-Roubaix?
Yes, it's actually not so far from my city. Yeah? It's only 40 kilometers or something to Roubaix.
Okay.
But I don't go there so much because it's really busy area there. Lille, Roubaix, Tourcoing is really busy, and they are not
for the traffic.
The traffic, and they are not so used to see bikes there. But I did it once, and it was a bit rainy, and then the track is really slippery. Yeah? I almost crashed there.
Oh no!
yeah, it's full of moss, the green. I don't know how we call it.
Yeah, moss.
Yeah, moss, and it was so slippery. I almost crashed, and then so I don't come back when it rains. Because if you are there on the corner on top, it's
and on the concrete.
Not so steep like Tkeupen or another track, but still.
You're right. Yeah, I've only been there in summertime, and after been watching the Roubaix since, just like yourself, I was a kid on television, just coming there on July weekday, riding in on the Velodrome with nobody in there. It's just all empty, but you just felt, you could just see the crowds and hear like the noise, that music, you know, that just all comes together when the riders come in, that you hear on television. So I even get goosebumps now just talking about it. So I can imagine how it must be in a race situation when you come in.
Yeah, it's one of the best feelings. It's the most mythical finish line for me also.
Yeah.
So already for years the same, and it's so special.
Yeah. So now you've been part of the team for so many years now. What does being part of the Wolfpack means to you, both on and off the bike?
It's my second family, of course. I'm here already so many years. I know the mechanics, the soigneurs, Patrick so well. I think I'm weekly in the service course in Wevelgem. It's only 15 kilometers from my house, so I stop there frequently. And if I ever have to change team, it's gonna be super weird for me to change. But I hope I can do my full career here, of course.
Yeah. You definitely fit very well into the team here. As a classics team, but now also involving into a Grand Tour team. There you also showed your strength in the stage races, both in the time trials, especially that victory at the prologue in Copenhagen 2022 at the Tour de France, where you took the yellow jersey. There must have been a strange feeling.
It was also unexpected.
Yeah.
It was. I had good condition. I proved it the weeks before. But then, that day...
everything just clicked, came together. When did you realize that you had won? After what rider? After you had finished? Or did it come all the way down to the last rider on the course?
I waited to the last one because I could not... I could not understand it that I won. So I really didn't want to celebrate too early, because if then a rider has a fantastic day like I had, then you feel double disappointed. So no, it was really, I waited till Soler passed the finish line, and then I was so happy that I took.
It was amazing. I was up there with the team, and I remember when coming back to the team hotel, down at the lobby, that was sports, that was all the Belgian media, of course. Everyone were interviewing you live down at the lobby there at the hotel all evening. And you had that jersey through all the Danish stages, no? All the stages in Denmark?
No, I lost the second day with Van Aert.
True. Yeah. Yes, that's right.
We won with Jacobsen. Yeah. So we only had one goal. And I said straight away, okay, Markov said, the yellow is more important than stage. But my best way to keep it was that we won the stage and Van Aert was not first or second.
Yeah.
But he became second.
Second, yeah,
and then
I remember.
We don't have to regret anything because we won the stage. We did what he had to do, but Van Aert was second, and so it is what it is. We had to give it away, but
it was nice. It was 2 fantastic days and stages, and also riding through the Danish landscapes, but also you probably remember all the fans cheering for you alongside the roads.
It was unbelievable how many people there were in Denmark. There was, from the start to the finish, there were 2 lines of people from the whole course. It was only on the big bridge. There was no people, and there I crashed. So
yeah,
it was.
There was a terrible crash, and there was even no wind that day, or very little wind, because they were afraid of heavy crosswinds on that bridge.
No, there was headwind, and it was only super nervous. And the guy in front of me crashes, and I go over it. It was not such a bad crash, but. It was typical me that had to be.
But it was a kind of, a few of you went down in that crash, because remember also Mørkøv, he told me afterwards that he was supposed to help Jacobsen out in the sprint, but he also went down, and he was tire was touching his frame all the way down to the finish.
No, because I still remember well that moment. I was in his wheel coming back to the peloton. I say, Michael, your wheel is broken. Change it. But he was there. No, there's no time. I have to stay in my position. Yeah, it was only 10k from the finish line, and Tour de France, it's normally very hectic. I think afterwards it was possible to change, but I completely understand him also that he tried to do it like he did now. Yeah,
he's an amazing person on and off the bike.
Yes, absolutely.
And every time he opens his mouth, you listen, because it's always something very valuable he has to say, or just that because you've done this many times, also being part of the lead out train. When you go with Michael, you just follow his instructions, steer through the lines and the gaps that he will bring people through. And as he once told me, as the last lead up guy in the train, every time I go through a gap, I need to make space for 2 every time, or looking also what the other teams are doing. So
he has such a back of experience. He was always, but it was also such a gentle rider that you can have really nice discussions with him on table. Correct. Also, he's smart, and he knew also more than cycling in his life. He knew also values in life, and it was I had good times with Michael. He was a really good teammate.
Just like a person like yourself, I mean, he's a handyman. Also, when something needed to be fixed at home, in the garden, or at the house, he will be the one doing it, or assembling his own bikes, his track bikes and everything himself. So, yeah. Yves, you've had success, as we said, in iconic races. We talked about the Tour. You also won a stage at La Vuelta. You won the Dwars door Vlaanderen. Stage wins, I think, also in Tour de Suisse.
Yeah, twice.
And so much more. Which victory are you most proud of?
For sure, the Tour de France.
The Tour de France, yeah.
That's the biggest, for sure. Absolutely. But for me personally, the road championship, Belgian road championship, is also really, really nice memory, because it's that day I had such a good day. I finished it off, and then as how we say, as a gift, as reward, you get the jersey for 1 year, and was a fantastic year to ride in the Belgian national jersey. Everybody sees you straight away. Your career is already made a bit. You can already be happy if you are a Belgian champion.
And that was 2018, right?
2018. Belgium is a cycling country.
It must be huge, winning the national jersey.
It is. And then the next year you can do all the classics in the jersey, and you have the stripes for the rest of your life on your shoulders. And I'm so proud that I did it.
So you won then 1 time the national road race and twice the time trial nationals in 2017 and 21.
Yeah,
that's 3 national titles.
Yeah. And the last one was in my hometown. They especially organized it because they want to organize the Belgian championship on the road. But then in Belgium, you also have to do the year before. You have to do it the time trial also. So there was a lot of pressure for myself. But we were there with Remco also. He was the big favorite, of course. And I only had to beat him 1 time in my life, and I did it. So it was really special to take there the national jersey once again.
Yeah, nice. So here's a tricky one. Now you mentioned Remco. If you could pick only one Which would you prefer? As you mentioned earlier, Paris-Roubaix or winning the Tour de France with Remco?
Yeah, it's both making history, of course, but it's prefer to win myself Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah. Would that be coming in solo to the Velodrome or in a sprint?
If it's possible solo, then you are sure you win.
Now I want to get into a little bit of the family side of the business, into farming. How has your love for farming ever inspired your approach to cycling or provided unexpected lessons?
Yeah, farming is, of course, you are also dependent of the weather, and sometimes you have years that everything goes really well and your vegetables give the money you worked for, but some years they are not so not so well that year, and you have to accept you have to accept the loss in money, and that's, I think, similar with races. The moment you lost a race, you can be disappointed for 5-10 minutes, but then you make the click and you think already for your next race.
Yeah.
And that's maybe the biggest value I took from the farm to the cycling world.
And I think also, as you said, also about being patient, because as a farmer, you know the value of patience. I mean, not every season is the same, and everything in order, nothing rushed, like, you know, proceeding at the same speed as the turn of the seasons. Because of the season, the climate changes. Slowly but surely, seeds sown in late winter, minorly sprouting as the earth warms in the early months of the springtime and the sun. Yeah, I mean, you need to give nature the time it takes to grow, and
yeah, absolutely.
So you can harvest it later. Yeah.
And also it takes a lot of work to harvest. Hey, it's not that you plant today that you harvest tomorrow. And it's the same in cycling. The 1st of November with training, with working, to harvest in April. And that's also quite similar.
It's very similar, yeah. No, it's very similar. And also that nothing comes to you for free. I mean... No. Or comes to you granted, you know, it's you have to work for your results.
Absolutely.
To be able to harvest them later on. So yeah, I'm super curious about this question. Something I always wanted to ask you when we met up at some of the team camps. So how many John Deere tractors do you have in your family farm?
We have 5.
You have 5?
Yeah, 5 of them. Yeah.
So 5 that do different things, or?
Well, yeah, in the end it stays a tractor, but one is, like, for example, is the whole winter on the harvest machine for the league. It stays the whole winter on it because it's a lot of work to disable the machine of it. So it stays on the field the whole winter, and then other ones we only can use to plant because it has really narrow wheels.
Okay.
Then we have one, especially for transport to the fabrics with our harvest. Yeah. So every machine has his own program, let's say.
Yeah. Is there a reason why you and your family and I assume your dad always bought John Deere's, or is there because those are just the best tractors? Because I know also Gianni Moscon is really keen and on Johnny Deere's.
No, he's a fan guy. He's a fan guy, so I'm not gonna say it's the best tractor. It's like choosing between Mercedes or BMW. So,
but would you ever consider buying a different brand?
On this point, I don't think so. For the moment, it's like I'm already waiting. How many years I'm on Specialized? I did 1 year junior, I did 1 year under 23, and already 11 years. So I'm 14 years on Specialized. So, and that's, would you buy tomorrow another brand? I don't think so, because I'm so used to the bike.
Yeah.
My position is good. I know the bike. I'm not going to change. Everybody is a bit loyal to the brand, I think.
Yeah. No, you're right. How old were you when your dad first put you behind the wheel of one of the tractors?
6 or 7 years.
6 or 7 years.
Yeah, then I still remember quite well, it was in the zucchini, we also plant zucchinis, and I had to be there only to stop and start. So I only had to push in the embrayage to stop and start. Now they can do it from in the back automatically with the joystick. But then in the days, me or my brother has to be there all day. Just put our feet on the pedal, stop. If he say, yeah, we can drive again 5 meters, stop. And that was my first experience. And it was only straight. And in the end, he turned the machine.
Okay.
But that was the first thing. And I also remember really well the first time I rode a car on the farm. I was 7 years, and we were there. My father got from a friend of him an old Renault R4, an orange one. And we were there. It was just a ride on the farm, and we were there. Everybody was in the car. My mother, my father, my brother, my sister, and me. And it was my turn to ride it once on the farm. And we come on a corner, and he said, "Yeah, and now you have to brake a bit and turn your wheel." But I started to panic, and I pushed the gas.
Oh no!
Full, and we drove straight into the wall. But luckily, there was a big. A bloembak for flowers,
okay.
but in stone, and we were luckily hit that. The thing was broken, of course, and nobody got harmed. But afterwards was such a fun moment. I still remember that really well, and I was crying out loud, and my father and mother were laughing with me.
You mentioned before the zucchini. What is the main product of your family business?
I think 3 of them are leek, cauliflowers, and potatoes.
Do you like those vegetables?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was young, not.
Which I think is normal for younger.
Yeah, but nowadays
kids.
I really like vegetables more and more. In the past I was the guy from sweet, and it changes a bit to life. I think while you're getting older, you don't like the sweet as much anymore, but you like. Good prepared normal food is the best. I think.
A good prepared meal, variation, and seasonal. So just to get the right amount of everything. Oh, that's cool. It's cool that you grow them yourself. You like them. You cook everything, and you have them outside your doorstep. I mean. You couldn't live a healthier life. Sometimes it can be difficult. I know if you go especially into a stage race, a grand tour, to kind of try to steer away from vegetables, because you also don't want to end up eating too much fiber. But then I assume also when you're home, then things are different. And
but we have to say now with our cooks, with the chefs and the nutritionists, they do a
fantastic job.
Yes, fantastic job. And we also in Grand Tour we eat very healthy also, with enough vegetables.
Good variation.
Yes.
Not like in the old days when you just sit there and shoveling in like kilos of pasta every day or rice.
Yeah, but
chicken.
We still do that, but not as much meat anymore as in the past.
Okay.
That's maybe for me the biggest change during my career.
So probably then doing a race or a stage race where you need to be ready also the next day, you take a few protein shakes throughout the day if you don't eat that much meat.
Well,
or how is that?
More than else, but I think I had not towards digestion. It's
you always hear about that we need to have that 1.8 to 2 point whatever 3, 4 grams of protein per kilo body weight.
Yeah, but I think it's depending on the person. But I have sometimes the feeling if I eat too much proteins, my stomach and digestion is not so well anymore. And
it's also putting some extra work on your stomach and your whole digestion. And
yes, I think you have to find a good balance for yourself. Some people digest it better than other ones.
Yeah, same also when it comes to carbohydrates, those higher numbers, because when you started, it was probably just normal that you have a few bars and a gel when you're out riding or racing, maybe doing training rides. You were not even maybe full up, maybe have a banana in the back pocket. Or
it was If you had 4 bars in your pocket, they say you go for 2 weeks out or what? And now if you have 5 bars in it, you only eat this.
Yeah.
It changed a lot.
Yeah. I mean, everything has changed. The way that the training regime, nutrition, the whole sports performance side of things have changed completely.
Yes.
And now we have all these variables on us the whole time that tells us when to go to sleep, what the HRV number is, or resting heart rate. Sometimes you just get a little bit too much, but we do also see the level has improved. And I'm sure also you have seen your numbers improve over the years.
Things change. It's until at a certain point, it's really good to have all the numbers.
Yeah.
But you still need to see the overview. Of course,
the big picture. Yeah.
Because at one moment you see so many numbers that you are overwhelmed about what am I still doing the right things, and then it's sometimes the gut feeling or I don't know, the stomach feeling that says what's good for me and what's good for another one. Like it to keep my head a bit clear, not to have to think all day about this and this and this. No, to have some rest in my head also. Yeah,
that is also the best thing, because your power numbers especially could tell you one thing, but your gut feeling, or you're just feeling on the bike that you could give that little bit extra than what your numbers are, then go for it. Yeah.
Even in the race, I don't look to my wattage anymore.
No?
Because at one moment I was watching my wattage, and if they attack, I was looking for 500-600 watt, I cannot hold this. And then I'm already lost before they attack, and now I just try to follow as far as possible, and I feel sometimes better with it. Don't think about it and just race.
Yeah. Looking ahead of the 2025 season, you talked about the classics. You're planning to target the Roubaix, but also the other classic races as well. After the classic campaign is over, how does the rest of the season look like for you?
I will try to be again in the selection of Tour de France. But I'm not sure about that. We need to discuss it. But if it's like that, probably I go on altitude camp in May, on the end of May, the start of June, and then do the championships and go to Tour de France.
That'll be fantastic.
That's mostly the main goal of a rider. Everybody wants to do that.
Yeah, I know.
It's fighting to get in selection.
It is, but you still got a lot of the years of experience, and you have proved yourself. And if everything works out just perfectly, you don't have any crashes or injuries or get sick or anything, everything can happen, then hopefully everything will work out for you. Here, my last question to you before we wrap up the episode. What advice would you give to young riders who aspire to have a career similar to yours? Balance and versatility, the dedication and everything.
Big advice is always to search some good friends to train with, because they make your career. To have fun on training, to like to go on the bike, and don't be too focused in the first years of your career, especially as junior under 23. Love to cycling, enjoy the nature, make fun with your friends, and step by step you're getting more professional. Don't be professional at the year of 15, because then it's still a long way till you are 35. For sure, try to have fun on training. That's my biggest tip to young riders.
So make sure you got a good group of friends,
and make each other better.
And make each other better, yeah. I remember when I was a kid, they would always put us together with a stronger rider every time, because they would always tell us, there's only way you can get better or more technical skilled rider.
Yeah.
Also have been racing also cyclocross. They always pushed us as kids into also race cyclocross, because they told us that technique you get from the cyclocross, you can get from the track or mountain biking, you can bring that over to the road. Yeah. You're right. Especially during those times that we live in today, where a lot of the younger people, I think, they prefer riding solo, because they have the coach writing up what efforts you have to do that day, so they feel it's better for them to do that. So I keep hearing that, but you don't have to ride in a group all week, but but it is very important.
Yes.
And also to push yourself that little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's underestimated, the power of good friends.
Yeah.
It makes your life.
And a lot of those good friends, they will also remain within the cycling world, maybe not turn professionals like yourself, but they will be within that world, and there will be connections, and you always have the same talking points and the same stuff to talk about and be passionate about, when you meet up. So
true. I can only agree.
This is a funny one. Let's try out Flemish. I do not speak any Flemish. Can you give me one short sentence, you decide, that I have to repeat after you in Flemish? And then, of course, you have to tell me what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's West Flemish, I'm going to say.
West Flemish, yeah. So like a tongue twister.
Yeah. Like we say a lot on training is train is tjolen.
Train is tjolen.
Train is tjolen.
Train is tjolen.
Yeah, and that wants to say...
Train is tjolen.
So training is suffering. It's...
Train is tjolen.
It doesn't come easy.
It doesn't come easy, no.
Train is tjolen.
Train is tjolen
is like even the translation in Dutch doesn't exist. It's typical West Flemish.
Yeah, West Flemish.
That takes all the words together, like how I have to say that. I'm suffering. I'm doing stupid thing. That's not that I really don't have know how I can translate it.
Train is tjolen. I'll remember that. I'll ask some of the other, or tell that to some of the other guys later today. No, that's fantastic. I like that.
Yeah, but ask it to Bert Vallerberg, and he will
Train is
say
tjolen.
Train is tjolen. We already repeated a lot on training.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tim and Bert afterwards.
Sure. And Maury and Serice, they will know.
Okay. I will make sure I find them here later today and tomorrow. Yves, it's been fantastic having you on the Castelli podcast. Thanks for taking the time, and sorry for going beyond the time limit we had set up with Aurélie.
Absolutely no problem.
But it was amazing. I feel like I could sit here and talk to you all day, but...
we could, but then you have to order a coffee and some cake.
That's good with me. Yves, thank you so much.
No problem.
And enjoy the next few days here in Calpe with your team.
Thank you.